Welcome to ATP Customs. Well, today you get a weekly report on what's going on in the shop. Just finished detailing this 2020 Raptor, and it is leaving tomorrow. Now, where are we at on the projects? We'll start with the 49 Chevy. I swapped spindles with my friend Doug, who's been building a nitrous burning S10 all winter. He is building a 9-second S10 for his daily driver. And I got to go for a spin in it, so I'll just throw a video up at the end here and you can go for a spin with me in a little S10. We did not run the nitrous on the street, obviously. He's just testing it out, sorting some bugs out, but it's close. So he had 2-inch lowered spindles in his S10, and it wasn't working for his drag setup. So we did a swap. And now we got 2-inch drop spindles in the front of this. And I love it. It looks so much better. I still have to buy the front air ride for this thing, which is about $3,500. So I have to build the orange jet boat and sell it before I can do that. That was the plan for that. But we can still build the bumper brackets. That's coming. We haven't got to that yet. But it's on the ground and it looks awesome. And that's on the ground too. And it's clean, of course. I cleaned it for the video. We are waiting for a couple of little things for the nitrous. My header's all refinished, got the motor all back together. It's taken me a week to get actual quality valve cover gaskets. I keep using those crappy silicone ones. Those are the only gaskets we could get, and they just kept leaking and leaking. Now, what kind of problems did we encounter? Now, when you're doing a Jimmy or a Blazer, this is my first one that I've done a 6-inch lift on. This originally had a 4-inch lift, and it had a 1-inch spacer set up right there, just like that. Usually they go on top of the frame when you don't have any lift. And the problem we were having was the drive shaft sticks out of the transfer case quite a bit. There's only 1 inch of the drive shaft inside the transfer case, which is not acceptable. And so I read online, a lot of guys are having problems with this when you put a 6-inch lift in a Jimmy or a Blazer with such a short wheelbase. So we thought we would just try it and see if we ran into the same problem. So we made some 2-inch spacers for there. And what it did was it lowered the transmission down, lowered the transfer case down, and made the engine lean backwards. And I was going to run tall valve covers on this thing. And the tall valve covers were running into the firewall. So I went to put my small valve covers back on, and they were running into the firewall with a 2-inch spacer underneath the cross member in the back. So I could not even put the small, short, stock-sized valve covers on because of the firewall issue leaning back too far. So I had to put it all back to normal, and that means I'm going to have to cut down a 3/4 ton drive shaft and extend it to solve that problem. The other issue I had was when we did drop the cross member 2 inches, that drive shaft was binding up, and it turns out it wasn't actually binding up. It was the linkage coming out of the floor, and I think it might have to do with the fact that I also have a 3-inch body lift in this. It's a little too much travel for that linkage, so it threw the linkage off so much that I couldn't get it in 2-wheel drive, and it was kind of stuck between 2- and 4-wheel drive and never actually coming into 2-wheel drive. So it was binding up somewhere, and it turned out to be the shifter. So putting a 2-inch spacer in there does not work. So I'm going to have to lengthen that drive shaft, which isn't a big deal. I've done a couple of them before. Next, we have the dual shocks. All done, had my headers refinished. We have stainless braided lines, and I have not actually secured them in the frame yet. And my drag link. I had to steal my Superlift drag link out of the Monster Blazer to compensate for the extra lift. And it worked out perfect. That's actually from my 12-inch kit, but it works for a 6-inch absolutely perfectly. Everything's just the right angle that I need it to be. And I'm messing around with starter shims. I'm gonna have to do it one more time, I think. Put one more shim in. But you get to hear it. It sounds a wee bit gnarlier than it did when I started. Very impressed with it. Definitely happy with all of the work. It's been very frustrating. We've run into so many parts problems and little issues. But we're almost at the end. And I decided to use my skid plate, and it actually looks awesome. Calver coatings, thank you. It was a very rough looking skid plate, but it turned out nice. So, golfing and test driving by Friday is the plan this week. And then I'm gonna have to put some miles on it so you guys can roll around in the Jimmy with us while we put some miles on it and see what it's like. 69 Chevy. Where are we at? I'm holding off on that until I am done the Jimmy. I have a horrible habit of starting projects before finishing other projects. And this one I want to completely immerse myself in once I get started, so it's going to hold off for a week. We have a ton of work coming in this week again, which was unexpected. But it means I get to take that home this week, hopefully. Hopefully all the little bugs are worked out as soon as we get our couple of little nitrous fittings. Got our fuel pressure regulator. I need a little fuel gauge, and this thing's rolling. Oh yes, I forgot. We still have to get rid of that big ugly looking fuel line with all the fittings or the clamps on it, because it's getting an electric fuel pump wired in next. So that's going away too. Oh yeah, and I have a little leak, because always you get a coolant leak with those little chrome thermostat housings. Every single one I've ever bought has leaked. So I have to solve that, clean up my manifold a little bit. It's pretty much about a day's work if you had all the correct parts, but because we've had so many parts problems in the last year, it's been crazy. Nobody stocks anything anymore. No parts store actually stocks big block gaskets until about, I think, Friday. They just started showing up. I couldn't get big block valve cover gaskets anywhere. I had to order them in all the time. Nobody wants to stock them. Well, they're stocking them now because we have so many big blocks. They have no choice. So there you go. That is your weekly report. Don't forget, I'll pop up a video of the S10 next. And I have no idea what's coming up next, but it'll be something fun and exciting. So thank you for watching, and I hope you subscribe.